Here it is, the good old JK Inverter BMS version 19. That's the greatest and latest of JK Inverter BMS at the moment. And it is one of the best, if not the best, BMS out there in the do-it-yourself market. Very robust hardware and even better software. Yeah, you can say I'm probably one of the biggest supporters of this JK Inverter BMS out there. I think it is great. Okay, except of the state of charge, measurement and calculation, because that is not good. Guys, welcome back to the Off-Grid Garage here in sunny and super hot Australia. It is expected 38 today. It is expected to be 22 tomorrow. There is some clouds and rain coming, long anticipated rain. But at the moment we have 145 amps outside, which are going straight into the battery. Got an AC load of 1.4 kilowatt and a DC load to the house 1.4 kilowatts. Yeah, that will be the last day of sunshine for quite a while. Okay, my friends, in today's video I want to show you how to upgrade your JK Inverter BMS to the latest firmware. And this is a very... What are you saying? We've done this before? Yeah, but I want to show you how this... Oh, you know already how this works. But whatever I've shown you in the past, it doesn't work anymore. So, I am connected to JK Inverter BMS. It is the version 19.10, so it is an older firmware. Unfortunately, I have bought this BMS from AliExpress and it has version 19.10 on it, so no big deal. Latest firmware is 19.27. Okay, let's just update it. It is the PB2A 16S20P, so it is a 200 amp 16S BMS with a 2 amp active balancer. Yeah, latest, newest, greatest PB version. So before you do a firmware upgrade, disconnect all the communication cables to any other parallel battery. Only plug in the cable to the computer to do the upgrade. Alright, let's update it to the latest version. Upload firmware. Go to version 19.27. Yes. Alright, select the right file for the 200 amp version. That's this one here. Let's compare quickly. Yep. And oh, there's no update button anymore. I must have done something wrong. Let me check again. PB2A 16S20. PB2A 16S20. Everything is alright. It doesn't work anymore. The update is broken. What's going on? Maybe because I'm on an older firmware, I have to do a step in between. So let's upgrade to the one after 19.10 first. Maybe that's a bit too ambitious to go to the very new one straight away. So 10.13. I think there is a 19.11 as well, but I never got it. Okay, 19.13, 20p, that's the 200 amp version. What's going on? Again, no start updating button. Yeah, my friends, this is exactly the situation. A lot of people have issues with upgrading the JK Inverter BMS from an older firmware, yeah? It can be that you buy one on AliExpress and it was on the shelf for half a year or something and it has an older firmware. So this problem I've shown you just right now is happening if you are on 19.10 or older. 19.10 is actually a quite old and early version of the firmware. I think there were only 3 or 4 firmware versions before that. But as you can see, we are not able to upgrade this to the latest version. And most people assuming something has changed in the hardware and they have bought an outdated version of the JK Inverter BMS. But let me tell you, this is not the case. You have the latest and greatest JK Inverter BMS just with an older firmware. And this firmware is the last one which has the vendor ID JK_PP2A. If you have a look at the device ID here of the version 19.13 we have just selected, it says actually here JK-PB. Yeah, see? Underscore and dash. So there's a bit of a small but important difference. The device ID has changed after 19.10 silently. Release logs 19.10, there's nothing in here, there's nothing in 19.11, so there was a version 19.11 afterwards. Activation button can be used in parallel mode, the current in override protection is increased by 2%. There's no word, nothing mentioned maybe in version 19.13, Bluetooth update the code, add support for lean bus. Nah, nothing. Nothing mentioned in any further firmware in the log files that something has changed. So some people got actually really stuck with that and thought they have bought an older, outdated version of the JK Inverter BMS. So what you need to do is you need to do a force updating in this situation here. You need to force this new device ID with the JK dash onto your vendor ID JK_PP, which it was before. There's no other way. But you need to make 100%, 110, 1000% sure you have the right firmware selected. Yeah, PB2A16S20P, which is PB2A16S20P in the old version. So it is the correct firmware. So let's do a force updating. It wants the force update code. And we go to Miro's website and we can see here the current JK-BMS monitor force updating code. Yeah, you copy this number by clicking on the button here on the PC. It copies into the clipboard, and have a look at this countdown up here. This code is valid for another 9 minutes and 35 seconds. Yeah, so plenty of time to do the update. Okay, code copied. We go back to the upgrade firmware. We paste the code in here. We say OK, and now it forces this new firmware with a new device ID onto your BMS. And it will be fine, hopefully. Yeah, it says successfully. And we close this one. So we go under about and we are on 19.30 now. Yeah, and you can see it has now updated to the new vendor ID as well, JK-PP, not underscore anymore. So only until version 19.10 it was JK_PP, and then they changed it for whatever reason to JK-PP, and that's why the software doesn't recognize the new firmware for your existing BMS. Yeah, and now you are on version 19.13 and you can upgrade to any other version now, all the way up to 19.27. Yeah, let's do this quickly. Here, 27. And here again we select the 200 amp version. We go start updating, and there's no issue anymore because the device ID shows JK-PP, the same as the vendor ID already programmed on the device. Upload firmware successfully. Okay, so we go to details log and go back to about, and now you can see we are on 19.27. You don't have to go to 19.13 first if you are on 19.10 or even an older firmware version. You can do the force update and go directly to 19.27. Yeah, all these firmware stuff, all the software is always linked under the video here, all on my website. JK is not publishing these files on their website. They give them to me when I ask them for the newest ones. I'll put them on my Google Drive. I sometimes make a video, so check the Google Drive, check my website frequently for newest firmware updates for the JK Inverter BMS. 19.27 is the latest and greatest at the moment. I received probably like 25 or 30 emails from people who got stuck with the upgrade of their older firmware version to the newer firmware version, which exactly this problem here. So you have to be brave and do the force update to overcome the problem, and afterwards it will be fine again for all the newest and future updates of the JK Inverter BMS. So thankfully a very simple and straightforward fix. Alright, as a second bonus I want to show you something else here. Let me turn on this screen recorder and connect to exactly this BMS. So let's do a search. This should be the JK, here it is, JK BMS. And down here you can see it has the device ID 1 at the moment. And this reflects the dip switch settings on the front of the BMS. Why is it not connecting? So at the moment we've got slave number 1 here. And if we go into settings, advanced settings, and a bit further down we can see here an RCV timer. Yeah, sits on 0.1 hours here for testing purposes. This is the bulk or better absorption timer. So we keep the voltage at 55.2 volts for 0.1 hour, and then we go back to the float voltage, whatever we have set here in this device. There it is, voltage cell our FV, the requested float voltage, to a 3.35 times 16, falling back to 53.6 volts after this 0.1 hour. There was an RFV timer as well, a requested float voltage timer. This basically determined how long we stay in float mode until we go back to bulk and fully charge the battery again, so do a balancing and all this kind of stuff. And there was a timer. The timer did not quite work for some people, so Qigong actually changed it on your request to an what is it called? Rebulk percentage setting. But this is not here. And people send me emails again complaining that this doesn't work for them. Well, it doesn't work because this BMS is set as a slave. Only the master has all the important settings for controlling the charging of your battery. So you need to set, come on. There you can see the dip switches. We are sitting on slave, and if we pull this all the way down, we are making this battery a master now. And most likely, yep, the app has now disconnected. We do another search. We go to the JK per battery here again. It connects. We go to settings, advanced, and go again all the way down. Here it is. RCV timer 0.1 hours, and then there is a rebulk state of charge percent of 5% set. Yeah, this is the default setting for this parameter, but it only appears if your BMS is sitting on master. The slave does not control your charging, it does not communicate to your inverter, only the master does. And this means now, after the absorption time, we go back to 53.6 volts, and then we stay there until the battery goes down to 95% state of charge. Yeah, this is what we have set here. So it's 100% minus 5% or whatever you have set. If you set 10%, it will wait until the battery is discharged to 90%. I have shown this feature here in a past video already, all in all details. We have talked about it, but it seems to be some people are still confused why it doesn't show for them in the app. And this is only because you haven't set your BMS as the master. So pull all the dip switches down, and then you can see this setting on the master only on the master, right? Alright my friends, there you have it. If you get stuck with the firmware upgrade on the JK Inverter BMS, this might be the problem, that you are on an older version before 19.10 or on 19.10 and it doesn't upgrade automatically to any newer version. And also if your rebulk percentage setting does not show, you most likely haven't set your BMS to master. Guys, thank you so much for your support. Thanks for all these amazing and beautiful people who are donating to the channel or becoming a channel member. Thank you very, very much. More videos are coming soon. If you want, leave a nice comment under the video. Hit the like button. If you are new here, subscribe. It is free. And guys, until the next video, you stay charged, stay safe, and thanks again for watching. See you then. Bye-bye. There it is. JK Inverter BMS.